Big shakeup in the Twins front office. DSP is out. Derek Falvey is in, or more in, as it were. We're going to talk about it. This is Locked On Twins.
You are Locked On Twins, your daily Minnesota Twins podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello there, and welcome back to Locked On Twins. I'm your host, Brandon Warren. You can unfollow me on the tweets at Brandon_WARNE. You can find me as Warren.whatever on Blue Sky, and I would be happy to find you there. But today, it's Locked On Twins, and Dave and I are here to talk to you about Dave St. Peter announcing that he's stepping down from his team president role. Derek Falvey is going to take that over. Lots of stuff to get to. We'll get to that in a little bit. Again, like I said, I'm Brandon Warren. Joining me, as he always does, Mr. Dave Brown at Answer Dave Brown on the tweets. How we doing?
Hi, Brandon. I was just trying to read Dave St. Peter's goodbye message on Twitter, but it was kind of blurry, so I can't. It's really hard to read, and I don't know 100% why he's leaving based on just his one message.
Maybe not the greatest choice to have Bob Nightingale take a photo of your statement and then post it for you on your behalf. But
yes,
that's neither here nor there. I'll try to read that statement a little bit too, because there's some good stuff in there. Thanks for making Locked On Twins your first listen every day. By the way, we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. And as part of the Locked On Podcast Network, we are your team every day.
Every day.
And again, we love to hear from you in the comments, whether it's on YouTube, Twitter, Blue Sky, you name it. We'd love to hear from you. And if you show proof of a 5-star review, if you show that you have subscribed on YouTube and have left a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, I will send you a lovely baseball card like this Byron Buxton right here. All you got to do, send me a DM with proof of those two things, that you subscribe on YouTube and that you left us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Both of those are important for the algorithm to try to get us up the charts. I've never understood it, but again, it just is what it is. And Dave, by the way, today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Okay, Dave, so bit of a shocker this morning. Dave St. Peter stepping down from his team president role that he had held for some 35 years. It's going to be a role that's backfilled by Derek Falvey. And then there's some kind of secondary movement behind that with Jeremy Zoll being promoted to GM. First of all, what's your level of surprise at this news? Because I'd say I'm like a good 65, 70% right now.
I mean, it's a stunning thing when something like this happens. You know, Dave St. Peter's been synonymous with the Twins for 2.5 decades. Basically, he's kind of like the face of ownership, really, because Falvey and Levine have the front office and the day-to-day kind of operations of the baseball side. But like everything else sort of runs through St. Peter, like public relations and TV and radio deal. Mm-hmm. And I think that is, I bet, you know, he was very visible on Twitter and social media until like this year. At some point this year, he basically stopped tweeting. And I think that's what makes me not surprised that this is happening. It's probably kind of been in the works for a while, and this is just the right time to do it. And but that was the first indication to me that he wasn't going to be around for much longer.
How much of this do you think is him leaving of his own volition versus, hey, Dave, it might be better. And I say leaving, he's being moved to a strategic assistant role or some kind of like consulting role off to the side. Do you get the sense that this is kind of like them saying, this is it, Dave?
Yeah, maybe to a degree. I don't know. There's lots of things that I am ignorant of, details about exactly which poll ad is running the team, or is it a group of Pohlads? Is it all the Pohlads? Is it a democracy of Pohlads? I don't know. And I think some of the changes that have been made recently, like putting the team up for sale and announcing that, shows me that there's like some uncertainty. It's almost like the old Soviet system. You know, we knew that there was like a guy, a premier, and there was a Politburo, and there were, people who were kind of faceless names running the show. But it was like a small group of people. You're never really sure who was in charge at one point. And then Mikhail Gorbachev came along and changed a bunch of things. But so I don't know exactly who is running the show or what is motivating them. To me, I think the failure last year of the Twins to settle their home TV deal is a big reason why this is happening. And it isn't Diamond Broadcasting for this coming year, but I think that was a big reason why so many people soured on the team, because they really couldn't watch them all the time at home. And I think that was, I'm guessing a little bit, but I think that was the big straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah. When you went with the Russian thing, I thought you meant that they were nesting dolls and that each one kind of like came out of them.
That would be a great giveaway if there was like a Pohlad nesting doll. I don't know how into the Pohlads, like the individuals, like there's a bunch of people that own the Cubs. It's a family. And it'd be funny if there were like nesting dolls of all the Cubs owners. And that would be a good giveaway, like a good going away present before they sell the team. So I like that idea as well.
All right. So Dave St. Peter's statement reads as follows. Dear friends, I'd like to take this opportunity to share gratitude and appreciation while reflecting on an amazing 35-season run with the Minnesota Twins Baseball Club. During my time with the Twins, I've been blessed to engage with so many passionate fans, historic moments, special players, great teams, loyal partners, and dedicated colleagues. And there's a drive to left by Castellanos, and that will make it a – sorry, I had to do it. No, I will read the statement, though, because it is a good statement.
You're reading it too well. You must not be reading it on a phone. You must have it on a big monitor and blown up, because that's the only way you can see it.
Yeah, it's a little blurry. I'm going to be honest with you. And I even your tweet just popped up. Too blurry, couldn't read. Best of luck, though. Since joining the Twins as an intern in 1990, I've always felt it was a privilege to work for this franchise and serve this fan base. That sense of responsibility drives me every day in every way, just as it does for countless coworkers across the Twins organization. Over the past 22 years, it has been an absolute honor to lead this organization. While we've experienced our shares of ups and downs, I'm incredibly proud of our organization's continued growth, enhanced impact on our community, and the holistic development of our people. Never before have we had more collective talent across the Twins organization, and that foundation will lead to an even brighter future. While my personal Twins journey has been a dream come true, in recent years I've sensed a calling to explore new professional challenges and a growing desire to spend more time with the people I love the most. The Twins have been a central part of my life for longer than I can remember, but I find myself at peace with the knowledge I ran the race as best I could. It's simply time to hand the baton to someone else. With that goal in mind, over the past 2 years, I've initiated succession planning discussions with Jim and Joe Pohlad. Those conversations have been focused on finding the right successor while also considering the best time for the leadership position. In light of recent news surrounding the expiration of a sale of the Twins, Jim, Joe, and I thought now was the proper time to share said succession plan. In the months to come, I look forward to shifting into an advisory role and working closely with the Pohlad family as they consider a potential sale and focus on the best possible outcome for the franchise and our fans. I'm equally excited about partnering with Joe and Derek Falvey to move our business forward and ensure a seamless leadership transition. Derek is an exceptional leader with universal respect across our organization and industry. He is ready for an additional challenge and uniquely positioned to push the Twins to new heights on and off the field. He is the right leader at the right time. And then at that point, he thanks a bunch of people that we don't need to talk about. For a second, I was like, is that going to come off bad? But honestly, I don't care. Saying that it's been 2 years and also saying that he's going to be shifting to a role to advise the Pohlad family, I'm not really sure how to reconcile those things. And also, like, it does kind of give me the vibe of when the Pohlads are gone, I'm gone too.
Definitely. I think, your horse and cart, that's the order right there. So, I think what the advisory thing that will expire when there's a new ownership in place, and how much he's advising them at this point. I assume there's still some level of that. Is a liaison. There's got to be some buffer between Falvey and the ownership, so he doesn't have to deal with that too. So I don't know. How good? I mean, he brought Target Field into play, right? That's really his legacy, isn't it?
I mean, no? He wouldn't have even been in place yet when they drafted Joe Mauer. He was in the organization, obviously, but I don't think he was team president yet, because I think that's 01, and he said 22 years, which just takes us back to 06. But he was obviously in a high-end role at that time anyway. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of got to be the legacy of anybody that's been with the team the last 20, 25 years. They haven't won a World Series. But they built a new stadium, and a beautiful new stadium that has been everything we could have.
I'm not even really like trying to go out of my way to minimize that. I think that's fine. That's good. And they had a really long playoff losing streak. I don't necessarily put that on Dave St. Peter, but I put that more on probably ownership and bad luck, and players and managers too, to a certain extent. But hey, Target Field, that's a good thing that's happened to the Twins. As much as I miss the Metrodome or parts of it.
Yeah, parts of it, like when it was imploded. No, I agree with you on all fronts. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to break down what a team president does. We'll talk a little bit about that. And it's not unprecedented, not precedented, but precedented for people to hold the dual role that it looks like Derek Falvey's going to have. So we'll talk about that and dive into, what it might look like with Jeremy Zoll at GM. But again, first, quick message here. Get ready to tackle the second half of NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one great place. So if you're watching the middle of a game and you've got a hunch that you think you know what's going to happen, or if you just want to keep up with other games too, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. That's right, it's that FanDuel app. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get $150 in bonus bets as a bonus. Like, you don't even have to do anything other than win your first $5 bet. It's basically free play. It's a big no-brainer. It's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So I'm going to admit my ignorance to you, Mr. Kaufman, Dave. I'm not entirely positive what a team president does. Obviously it's a lot on the business end. When we would talk to him at the luncheon before, like the media luncheon before Twins Fest every year, he'd talk about partnerships and business and all that stuff. So my sense was it was a lot more business side than it was on field stuff. And that's why it was a little strange to me to see people come running to him when the Twins would have bad product on the field, whether it would be, a bad season, a bad stretch of play, one player having the audacity to not get a hit in a plate appearance, where for whatever reason, that stuff would funnel to Dave at times on Twitter. I never really understood that. Was I in the wrong there?
Well, I mean, I think it depends on how you mean you don't understand, or how one means that. I think the short answer to the question is he's the flack catcher. He's the guy that takes the hit for the organization. Is that really the best way to do it, or even the right way to do it? No. Is it, maybe it depends. Is that the way that the Twins have chosen to do business? Kind of keeping the Pohlads inside their nesting doll. You never really know what they're doing.
Who's going to pop out?
Yeah. It's not. I couldn't even name a Pohlad other than the two guys that you named already, Jim and Joe. Is that right? And they're.
I think there's Bill.
I don't know who that is.
I think Bill Pohlad.
I know Bill Polian, but that's a different sport.
Pohlad. No, that's Greg Masterson joke.
His his job, not unlike a lot of other teams, is to be an executive who takes the hit or is the liaison between the fans and the organization, basically. So Derek Falvey, who's got busy work and trades to make and evaluations and all that stuff, can do his job. So that makes me a little nervous. Jeremy Zoll is a young man. I think he's 34, but he's been in baseball maybe 14 years. So I'm sure he knows what he's doing. It was said in Doe's story on MLB.com today that he was a point man, Falvey said, on a couple trades, including Sonny Gray and the Justin Topa trade. So
great trade, Zoll. It doesn't really roll.
Trade Zolad. No, the nicknames they sort of roll off the tongue at this point. So
get there.
Now, I mean, Derek Falvey has shown himself good at talking to the media and sort of being out there as being a responsible person. But now there's like extra pressure on him to do all that stuff. But I mean, that's why he gets paid the big bucks. So hopefully Zoll is a good first lieutenant, because Falvey's going to need that help with Levine gone and now Dave St. Peter out of the picture. So it stretches Falvey a little thinner. We'll see. I don't know if he's thinking about this too in terms of what he can show another team if the new ownership comes in and doesn't want him around anymore. It's smart of him from a professional standpoint to take this on. I don't know how good it is for the Twins, but it's smart of Falvey to try.
Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned if he pulls too far in the business side of things that the other side suffers, and you got a first-time GM. You no longer have that power structure like you did with him and Levine. Levine had done the job or close to it before with Texas and elsewhere. So yeah, the cynic in me is going to say that they've turned 4 jobs into 2, and that's cheaper. Now,
that sounds like them. That sounds like a lot of teams. That sounds like analytics. That even sounds like Shohei Ohtani. Give me 2 players for 1, kind of thing. That's what baseball's doing these days. So that is part of a trend. This is not just a Twins thing.
Yeah, so it's not a team is for sale. We want to make our budget look even more streamlined kind of thing. I mean, granted, those men or women, whoever have those jobs, are not pulling in even, long reliever money. So it's not about the line item and how much your staff costs, but just kind of condensing it. Do you think it's more of an MLB at-large thing than a Twins thing?
And I mean, if you want to make it a Twins thing, I would say this from this standpoint. They're thinking about selling the team.
Right.
Why bring in a new guy to be president of the team? And I don't think there's anybody ready to like leapfrog. I guess maybe it would. I don't know if Thad would have been into that. Probably not. Maybe they asked him and he said no.
And he was so upset he left.
Maybe
who knows?
I don't know, but it makes it's prudent. There's a good word for the Polads to just make Falvey do it for now, and maybe he'll be good at it. And maybe this is the kind of thing that he's been in this job long enough. It's time for him to graduate to a little bit of a different role, a higher role, a more overseeing role of the entire operation. And hey, let's look at it like this: the Twins. From time to time, have had trouble getting people in the park at the rate that they used to for how good they've played. And they definitely have had trouble keeping eyeballs on them on TV for reasons that we've talked about before. Right. Harder to find, app doesn't work, just general discontent in that way. It's not like they couldn't use some refurbishing in that end. Hopefully, Falvey has some good ideas there and some good leadership and make some good decisions to make the Twins better in that arena. They could use it.
Yeah. I read, I think it was Dan Hayes who said that this is not unprecedented and that Mark Shapiro has held this role as well. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Shapiro comes from Cleveland originally, or at least spent a lot of time there. He's with the Blue Jays now, isn't he?
That's right. So
it's not unprecedented to have this kind of role, and based on what you know about Shapiro and what you and or I may know about Falvey, I think Falvey could probably make a claim as like he's a similar level of executive, like the similar level of capability, maybe.
Right.
Maybe I'm reaching on that, but I think it's not unprecedented, so it doesn't have to necessarily be initially daunting to think of him in this role. He may be stretched, but it's not guaranteed doom. There are people of Falvey's type who have done this before with success. It's not an immediate doom and gloom scenario.
No, I don't think it is. It is, and with the team, like going back to this, with the team up for sale, it is. I don't know if it's a temporary measure. I mean, we'll see what new ownership wants. Maybe it's temporary, maybe it isn't. But I think he'll be able to handle it, whatever it is, for this year while we transition into the new era.
If a new owner wants a new president too, he could slide back into his existing role because they haven't backfilled it the whole way. So I think there's something to be said for that too, right?
True, but then what do you do with Zoll? I don't know.
No, they didn't. They hadn't hired a GM though. He's Levine.
Right, that's true.
That's just my take. Like, they haven't done any moves they can't undo in the event that things don't go to plan. Now, I think the one thing they couldn't undo is Dave St. Peter. I think Dave St. Peter's leaving is tied to the Pohlads, and if the Pohlads don't leave, I just don't see a scenario. I think that the fact that they've had Dave do this shows that it's not an exploratory thing right now. It's we're going to sell this team. Either we're far enough down the line
they mean it
already with somebody on that process that hasn't become public yet. To me, this line of succession is like the Pohlads are not going to have a changing of thought like Glenn Taylor with the Wolves. Now, again, completely different situation with a longer chain of succession or change of ownership. But I think all these wheels are in motion and are not going to go backward. The only things I could see going backward is if the new ownership wants a different president, in which case Falvey just reverses or he reverts to his old role.
Right. We agree there.
Okay. So a lot of things I hadn't really thought about that are kind of coming to a head here as you and I discuss this. Let's take our last break, and then I want to ask you about how much you truly in your heart of hearts believe Falvey's role is going to change, because it will change in some respects, but how much will it take away from him on the player acquisition side? We'll talk about that here in just a moment. We got that lovely Gametime app, or gametime.co if you must use it on the old desktop, but I cannot highly enough recommend the Gametime app. You got to go to an event, whether it's downtown Minneapolis for a concert, or if you want to go to one of those casino shows where it's I'm going to a country show on Friday, and it's in a ballroom, Dave, a ballroom. Who goes to ballrooms anymore?
What is it, New Country or
Old Blackhawk?
Oh, okay.
They play the Medina Ballroom every single year in November. I went last year. I'm going this year. And it's because of Gametime. Gametime helps you find the seats you are looking for. You just open it up. And if I'm honest with you, you got to toggle that all-in pricing. That way I know if I'm spending $25 on a ticket, it's $25 out of my pocket, not $25 and then another 10 and then another 5. I like that level of clarity at the front end of a transaction. What's that?
Certainty.
Yes, certainty. I like clarity. I like feeling like someone's being upfront with me. Some of those other apps aren't. Also, seat views. If you want to know what your seat view is going to look like, Gametime's got you covered. Panoramic seat views, 110% of the difference if you find the ticket cheaper elsewhere. And your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the game today. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB. You'll get 20 bucks off your first purchase. Terms, of course, do apply. But again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for 20 bucks off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Yeah, Dave, I bet you didn't even know that I was raised on country music. Actually, you probably might have guessed that. But
I had indications.
I saw, yeah. If this happens, we will. There will have been evidence, or there will have been signs. And yeah,
is this ballroom very ornate? They have does it look like it's from the 30s or 40s?
No, it's been modernized quite a bit, and this is kind of like in the it's like one of those little dance halls that you see like in news stories where like a fire starts and people can't get out. It is kind of one of those like cozy, cramped little areas. So,
well, don't let that happen, Brandon.
I've been watching too much 1990s news shows because I feel like that happened a lot more in the 90s. Maybe we were just more aware of it.
Yeah,
But
people were scofflaws when it came to fire safety.
Well, you know what? I will be aware. I will be ready.
You don't want a great white scenario.
That's what I was trying to think of, but I couldn't articulate it in time. So we've kind of talked about what the team president does. How much do you think this is going to draw away from what Falvey does on the transactional side of things? And the reason I ask is because, yes, he's obviously going to have more work on the business side. I don't know how much his work was going to change with the departure of Levine. Now, with that said, they probably also planned all along to replace Levine. And so this is a good time to announce that with Jeremy Zoll. Basically, what I'm wondering is, are you expecting much different from Falvey in either role, or if Zoll's influence might be even more now? I mean, obviously it's going to be more, but it's going to be more pronounced. I still wonder how they're going to backfill because they have a young man named Daniel Adler who also deserves a look at moving up the chain as well. So I'm really wondering how much is this going to throw into not chaos, but like uncharted territory.
One thing I'm pretty sure of, it just sort of reinforces the idea that it is probably going to be a treading water kind of a season as far as transactions. I know it's like, that's kind of the bummer to me that it's we speculate about like how temporary these positions are and what the new ownership group is going to want to do. You know, they're not going to want to spend a whole lot of money on new players, or possibly even extending the players they have or going to arbitration with them or whatever, until the ownership situation is resolved. So it just kind of reinforces to me that the Twins probably are going to keep it as simple as possible as far as that goes. I mean, maybe Falvey will go nuts with trades and creative things to try and bring in different players to compensate for the cost of whatever arbitration would have been, or fill any holes or anything like that. But, and I think there's enough people in the front office that are likely on the same page that the daily transactions and keeping an eye on the waiver wire and trade feelers and all that stuff that goes on in front offices, they probably have it covered. But I think the one thing that it reinforces to me is, they ain't going to sign any big free agents. They're not going to make any huge expenditures that would expand payroll until there are no more poll ads.
Yeah, the chances of them making a big move would be more along the lines of like trading for Zach Gallen rather than signing a pitcher of that caliber. And granted, I mean, is Max Fried that caliber? I don't know, but there aren't always pitchers of that caliber available. It boils down to if they shuffle the deck chairs, it's going to be creative, but it's not going to be a financial they're not going to be taking out a bunch of money. Which
I don't even know if Paul Goldschmidt could be on the table, and he seems like maybe an Astros likely guy. They need a first baseman. He is from suburban Houston. He probably will cost 1 year and $20 million, and maybe a multi-year deal with opt-outs. Maybe he'll do something like that. Something that in past years the Twins would be interested in doing. But I don't see any like long-term deals for Christian Walker or Max Fried or anybody like that. Maybe Walker Buehler. I don't know. You could get him maybe for a year or two, but again, spending $15 or $20 million on one player for 1 year, no matter what, I don't see that happening. I don't.
They're going to sign like Noah Syndergaard to a minor league deal instead, or
not again.
But hey, again, they didn't do it.
Well, it seems like they already did that. I don't know.
Hey, quickly though, Mike Petriello, smart man, MLB.com,
Philadelphia native area.
What's that?
The Philadelphia area native, Mike Petriello.
And you had mentioned this team in a holding pattern. And that wouldn't be the worst possible thing, because the other day Mike wrote an article about the teams on how they're best set up as things stand right now. And the Twins, I think he had 6th. And again, it goes to show how talented the offense was, how poorly they executed this season, especially down the stretch, injuries and all that. Like, if you were to start this season with the players every team has currently now, he's still very up or in on the Twins, which I agree with. But again, you can't just stand pat, because it's not like you're just waiting for your sample size to level out after 300 and whatever games. You still have to make some moves, but they're in a good spot.
Encouraging. That is encouraging. Yes.
Definitely encouraging. Well, hey, that's all I have. Hopefully we've helped people understand, or at least be less confused about what Dave St. Peter does and did. Dud. I think does and did, if you combine them, is dud, right?
What he did?
Maybe we shouldn't say dud, because that sounds bad. But hopefully you understand more about what Derek Falvey will be taking over, and it's going to be quite an off season. I am very, very eager to see how they get things off the ground with their first and second, and whoever knows however many else moves. But it's going to be wild. Hey, he's Dave Brown. I'm Brandon Warren saying thank you so much, and we'll see ya
tomorrow night. I'm free and available.
Hey.